Good morning, JMC3 here, and I got a new knife review for you. Now, I was scanning the web a while back, and I decided I was going to change up some things and get into fixed blades a little more than I have been. Most of the fixed blades that I own come in two sizes, either the extremely small, under 3 inches, or extremely large, 12 inches, Bowie knives and machetes. But I decided, since things are a little more flexible for me, meaning I don't have to keep entering federal buildings every morning for work, I can actually, my state allows me to wear a fixed blade. So I decided to give it a shot. And I came across an interesting blade that I hadn't seen before. It's the Crkt Ck Dragon. Now the C and the K stands for Pat Crawford, which is the C, and the Bob Kasper. Now Bob Kasper has done a lot of work for the military and contract workers over in Iran and Iraq, and him and Pat Crawford are knife designers. Now this is not the custom version of the blade that they made. It comes in a plastic. There are some websites that says Kydex. This is a Kydex-esque type sheath, and it's a pretty good sheath. It comes with an attachment for belt or molly gear, and has a little slide here for quick release. And you can see you can use paracord or belt loops. And to be honest, as far as coming with the knife type sheaths go, it's not bad. It's not bad at all. Now, I'm not a rabid outdoorsman, and most of my stuff is inner city. Actually, majority of my stuff is inner city wear and tear, so take it for what it's worth. Now it takes a little muscle to get this out, but we'll get to that in a second. Right off the bat, Pat Crawford said of this design that Bob Kasper and him, or actually Bob Kasper, designed the custom version of this to be mainly used for self-defense. It's a worn cliff grind, and it's a big blade as far as length goes. Looking at four and a half inches of steel here. And speaking of steel, you're looking at non-CR18 MOV. And if you're not familiar with that steel, it's a 440C-esque Chinese version of 440 steel, or 440-ish type steel. It's a good steel. It's a good defensive steel. By saying that, meaning this is not really to be left out in the rain and the snow for long periods of time. But for defensive use, meaning you're pulling it out for defensive reasons and then sharpening it up and putting it back, not a bad steel. It has a thumb groove which goes further back than the material, the handle material, and it lays so far below the handle material that it's useless. You can barely feel it when you're rubbing your finger, but it's a very aggressive set of grooves in there for your finger, for your thumb. I just wish it had went up to at least where the C is. The handle itself, it's full tang. Now the grabbing material, which is going to be from where the pommel is, obviously all the way up to the first groove, the finger choil, is very small. You're looking at barely 2 fingers worth of material in there, and then you're pretty much on the pommel. So as far as comfort goes, your hands may vary. And it does come fairly sharp. I mean, it pops hairs, and it slices and dices. The tip is a very fine. It goes from 0.138 inches and it tapers off to a very fine tip. Now remember, they designed this to be used defensively. Even though they do say it can be used for other things, which any blade can be used for dual purposes, it's just some are greater than others. The problem, one of the problems I have is that when you're used to grabbing a blade, and let me put this down for you, you can look at it for a while. Take out my cold steel practice blade here. When you're used to grabbing something with some meat on it, some thickness, and getting a full grip on it, whenever you go for your blade to pull it out, and it doesn't have to be in an immediate heart pounding fast motion, you're used to getting something and not having to worry about how you grip it, meaning putting your arm, you're making a fist. When I was taught to make a fist extremely tight and not, you know, a girly type fist or punch, to get your hand around it snug. With this, it takes a little practice drawing it out because you're so used to palming something to going like that with a blade. But this, and this comes from Pat Crawford himself, it was designed to be used in a hammer grip, to where you got to get it in there and squeeze it tight so it cannot be knocked out of your hand easily in a fight. And these are Pat Crawford's words, not mine. Speaking of, because it's so thin, when you grab it, your options are either going to be to rest your thumb in this, which can work, or like this, which if you come up against some resistance can be somewhat painful if you're not used to it. The finger choil is actually pretty functional. I mean, you fit right in there. In either version. The blade is 4.3 ounces. And it came in at a remarkably low $24, not counting shipping. And I picked this up on KnifeWorks. So if you're in the mood to get yourself a designed for tactical use, defensive use blade, you might want to pick this up, add it to your collection, give it a look over, because at $24 it's not that bad. Let me let you get some lingering looks at it. The texturing on this is not so bad, but considering that your hand engulfs it, the texturing isn't that major of an issue. Crkt, Bob Kasper, Pat Crawford, Dragon. And this is JMC3 out.